and welcome back to another episode of Let We Hear From Doc. I'm your host, Amanda Japal, and with me is Dr. the Right Honorable Claudius Mitchell. So, Dr. Mitchell, how have you been? How was the holidays? It's been a while.
Well, it's been a while, but we always a bit on the quiet side. I was in New York for a week, basically on our own business activities. So, and of course, monitor the carnival activities here and so on. But I passed the stage of active involvement in carnival. That's for the young people like yourself before. Now, but I'm very happy that we reconnecting back today on our usual podcast.
You didn't shake a leg at all.
No, I could do it home.
Doc, before we go into today's discussion, I want to just pause for a bit to acknowledge the passing of our former senator, Neilon Franklyn. You know, a young man that has gone too soon. What would you like to say in tribute to him?
Well, basically, we did put out already a public statement on that. And as I said to people over and over, I mean, the news was quite shocking. When someone that young who appeared to be physically well, it's a furthest thing from your mind is a possibility of them passing on to the great beyond. So that was the most shocking part of it. And so we learned that he may have had some problems, probably he himself did not know. So I don't know the circumstances. But the fact is, a young man that had a lot of promise. And of course, he came from the same village that I came from, in Brazil, and so on. So I've always felt a sense of connection from that standpoint. And those of us who know about Brazil as a community of basically fishermen and fishwomen. Most people in the late 80s and 90s, people started going to secondary school as such. So getting a young man coming from that area and with that kind of skills, you know, and connection with people is quite special. So it is. I think the loss is quite strong in the Brazilian community, among the people of the Brazilian community, and of course the constituency as a whole, Northwest. Although it was more known in the Bushaju Brazilian area than the other parts of the constituency. So I was there with his family, the mom, who had always been a very strong supporter. And the mom has never shifted in any way from her loyalty to the New National Party. So I was there in the morning, and I could feel the pain. Because that was immediate morning after he passed away, and so on. So it was quite a special event in many respects. So, and I could feel it because clearly they were close. He may have been the main breadwinner in the family at the time. So I just waiting to hear when the funeral arrangements would be made, and of course, I would ask all many of our people to turn out and show their last respects to someone whom they knew and someone who had a bright future, who unfortunately has passed much earlier than we would have expected.
And that is why it's so important to give, our loved ones their flowers before they die. Speaking of giving people their flowers, I think that was one of the most common themes around the carnival this year. And so we came off a relatively good carnival. What would you like to say to some of the artists and the persons that have contributed to our culture Spice Mass 2025?
Well, first of all, I would say that there was one aspect of the carnival which just to me was a bit of a difficulty, because the carnival activities concentrated in St. George's. There was not the usual buzz in the rural part of the country. So it was St. George's had the activity, and quite a few people came in from outside. But I believe when you have a national event, the people must feel it at all areas of the country. I was in the early part, and I came back in, you passed in certain areas and you saw hardly any activity. And the shops and business places in the rural part were quite empty. So, but it's, the fact is, those who manage and participated in the cultural activities, the premier cultural activities, which our Carnival is, you want to give compliment to all of them. And the key thing, I believe, that one must be give serious praise to is the fact that it was very peaceful. There was hardly any major incident that would worry us at all. And sometimes you wonder how some people don't use a period of atmosphere of camaraderie and fun to turn out to make it something else. But this time you didn't see this. So I thought it was, from that standpoint, was a highly successful event.
I want to commend our people for that. Doc, you mentioned something that the place was dead. That's very interesting because some vendors have echoed the very same sentiments. Yeah, they said this year's carnival felt dead and that they didn't get the support that they expected. So what's your take?
No, it's simple. You see, Amanda, what this government failed to come to terms with, in these small economies like Grenada and a lot of the islands in the region, the people who drive economic activities, the poor working man. And anytime they are not occupied and having money to spend, you could feel it all levels of the country. Certain persons at certain level of income, above a certain level, do not go into the shops and spend and buy the little power flour and sugar and so on. They do not reach the shop to go buy a drink, right? The ordinary man who does that. They do not go to the supermarket, generally speaking, by themselves. The poor man is the one that goes there. They do not go into the vendor's market and buy the provision and other. The poor man does it. So whenever the poor man has money, the vendors will be happier. The shopkeepers are very much happier. Whether it's a tailor, the seamstress, the hairdresser, they all get a piece of the action, so to speak. And that is why whenever major events are coming on, and whether it's Easter, Carnival, Christmas, all of the holiday period under the NNP government, we had thousands of people not cleaning up the streets and the roads and the drains, not only from the standpoint of providing some work for them, but also dealing with the environmental and health aspects of this. Because right now what you see, the bush level in some areas of the country are taller than most of us. And you're going around some corners and you have to be very careful about the vehicle oncoming because you can't see. And therefore there's a health risk and a security risk with what appears to be happening at this time when little or no work is available. So when you put out, like we used to, over 6,000 people, all parts of the country, cleaning every dream, cleaning all over inside roads and in certain villages and community. What was happening is that we are dealing with one, yes, the economic aspect, spreading the bread, so to speak. You're also dealing with the history of health. Of course, any area that are left with dirt and other things can create the mosquitoes and other insects that can create problems for our health. And of course, the security part of it was there. So when we did something, had a multi-dimensional economic output of it. This government does not understand this, and they do not care. Clearly, it seems like men are just outside paddling their own interests and trying to see how fast they can get rich. That's how people perceive it. And it's unfortunate that the country is paying a heavy price for this because the resources of the country are being wasted.
I'll stick a pin there. What do you think about the politicization of our culture right now?
Well, you should not politicize any serious issue that has a value for every single person in the country. It does not make sense. I'm not saying a government, which is a political government, clearly so, would have an interest in ensuring that they can maximize their politics out of the actions. But it must not be done in the sort of almost petty way and what you call selfish way that gives the impression that if you did not vote for me, you have no right to live. You have no right to be able to take care of your family. And that is clearly an anti-democratic principles because in our parliamentary system, no one should expect that everyone would vote for him or her. And therefore, the person who chooses not to vote for you has a right to live in their country and have a right to survive economically and otherwise. So I think that's a fundamental weakness or a policy flaws of this government that just came in 2022 and appeared not to understand its major role is to be interested in all citizens of the country, whether they voted for you or not.
Doc, you spoke about roads, you spoke about the bushing, and that brought me back to a question that someone had asked me. I remember NMP has been criticized and called the concrete government because they're only fixing roads. But now you hear persons complaining about the same roads because right now we have more potholes than ever. Like you can actually
Remember the song Road in the Hole, not hole in the road? Well, just remember that. That's how bad it was at a certain period. And I think we're getting right back there at this particular time.
Because right now people are actually missing the NMP for fixing those roads. So the question still remains, why does it feel like, people who can get the work done are not being sought after, and what we have are more friendships, friendship contracts?
I think this is a character issue. I think probably people doesn't seem to understand the responsibility they have when they go to people and ask for vote to govern those persons. You have to understand that you have a responsibility to all and sundry. And if you're smart politically, in fact, I believe they are dunce politically. Because if you're smart, you must know that not everyone who voted for you the last time will vote for you next time. That's human. That's practical human understanding. And therefore, you have to reach out to even some of the ones that did not vote for. Reach out to everyone. But some may not accept your initiative, but you may win some. And that's how you continue to remain in government or continue to expand your political base. But when you are so narrow-minded and so petty in your action as they appear to be, and they don't seem to have anyone in the government who will say, that's not the approach. And I unlike when we were in government, not everything I tried to implement, I got support from the whole team. Some members were clearly expressing their own individual position. And when you look at it, you realize sometimes they were right, not all times. So I think you have a fundamental problem with the mentality of those in office. They simply lack the experience, they lack the character, they lack the understanding of what their responsibilities are in government. They seem to me it's a nice ride. Maybe they see government as an opportunity to satisfy my ego, to travel first class, to be in hotels, to eat the best food and to drive the biggest car, to drive. That's what they see politics about. I mean, some of us that came into, and we had those things before we came into politics. So these things never meant much to us. Always, and that's not a boast. It's just a simple fact of life.
Over the last few days, I have been hearing some serious complaints about the health system and stories of people being neglected or treated poorly. And one person said something to me, and that stuck with me. They said, listen, I'm a Christian, but if I have to go to that general hospital to get service, I will commit suicide. And we all know what the Bible says about suicide. So And then she went on to say, girl, we don't need a new hospital. We need to fix what we have because people go dead. So
People
what
are dying.
what
People dying.
do you think that there should be some serious investigation going on?
A serious investigation needs to go on for a number of things. But the health, of course, is a very serious and critical issue that confronting our people. I think it's important for us to accept the fact that the health situation has always been an issue, no matter who comes into government. In other words, the challenges that the healthcare system faces is quite enormous. And that's why you need a collective will for all the people in the country, whether or not, it doesn't matter which political organization, because health is about your own life. As they say, health is wealth. And therefore, every single citizen ought to be concerned, because it means any one of us at any given time may need the services of the best possible healthcare or the worst one that's available. So it's important for us to recognize that we must do everything. So I accept the fact that historically health has been a problem, but this appears to be the worst. And what is on us to understand, and the person who says you don't need a new hospital, there is foolishness about we having a new hospital as a first-class teaching facility, and nonsense. Could say some guy that don't understand anything about people and of course health, talking loosely about these things and so on. And you have to clearly understand that the building is not the environment inside the building, about how the pretty the building is as well, the decoration is. That's not health, about the health. Yes, I agree with the person. If you have a lot of money and somebody give a gift and you could get a new building and they give you money to get equipment, because the equipment is an important aspect, because you have a lot of modern equipment that some of us we didn't have when we were growing up. And of course, you need basic medication. Like you need, a lot of people suffer with high blood pressure. So you know that if you must have basic blood pressure medication. Sugar, diabetes is another major factor of life of black people in general, and so on. Only certain families escape the basic problems there, but you need that. And you need a lot of other basic services to take care of things that normally that can affect any one of us. So the training of the person, the doctors, the nurses, the healthcare providers are also critical. The level of equipment, modern equipment you have available, is also a major factor. And also you need all your orderlies, your security people, and the sensitivity and the motivational aspect of the workforce is important. And let's face it, we know what. You go to a doctor at the hospital, you're not feeling well, and you go there and if you meet a doctor that's not a nice person, you leave them more sick than you came. But you meet a good doctor, one who cares deeply about people. It's just an example. It doesn't have to be a doctor. It could be whoever the health professional is. But the way they treat you and talk to you, you always be not like nothing happened. I was not nothing was wrong with me when I came in, because the level of support that you get, the level, the attitude displayed is also a healing process. And therefore, there's so much reasons why we have to this. Yes, if you get a grant money and want to build a new hospital while you're fixing and modernizing your present one and making sure that, why not take it? But to go and borrow 300 and 400 million, when are you going to get to pay that back? And how are you going to pay that back and provide basic services in all the other areas, for education, for the infrastructure, and just name all the other services that you for social services that you have to provide in the country as a whole. So it's crazy thought, and my own feeling that pipe dream I honestly I hope and pray it might hopefully happen in my lifetime, but I don't have that confidence that it will.
Um, Doc, there's a lot of disinformation, not misinformation, is because it's very intentional. A lot of disinformation circulating from the current administration. Crazy claims that NMP left debts and whatever. How serious is it when the public is being misled like this? And what should citizens know about the real state of the economy during your tenure?
No, well, I think if you're dealing with politics, and therefore that the role of the opposition is to be like a check for balance of information, what people receive. And therefore, you may criticize the government for how they operate and the things they say, but the right of the opposition is to be able to provide the facts. And if the government is foolish enough to make false claims, they will be exposed and they would lose credibility. I think it is clear that the present prime minister has lost the confidence of most of the people in the country because the statements that he has made, some of the claims he has made are so outlandish and out of line and clearly false that people are now not having it. Probably when he says the truth now, people won't believe. I mean, you take the case of saying that you're going to solve the issue of jobs and permanent by stroke of a pen. It's absolute nonsense. The question that contract work is illegal. Absolute nonsense. And a number of other statements. Morality is one's private business. I mean, come on. In a Christian society, you're telling me that one's morality, what he does is his business. He can do anything, he or she can do anything that he feels he wants to do. What kind of society are we building? I didn't grow up in that society, and I hope and pray I don't have to die in that society. So I think while the government must be blasted about for this, I think the our role in opposition is to ensure that make the government account for what it is saying and expose them for any foolish things or lies that they tell. And there are lots of them over and over. And clearly the issue of economy, the numbers are there, and for those who remember, way back then, 1990, I spent 3 days exposing the government of the day, NDC, and Parliament, and that's what led to the Parliament had no limit on speakers. But after I spent 3 days knocking the NDC out, that came, they cut the debate for 1 hour. They said no more of that unlimited time. I brought about the limits that is now placed on myself and others because of the way we dealt with the government of the day then. And I think that's our role, that when the government presents anything, and to ask questions. I notice these days they hardly answer the questions. The guys have no respect for the system of government. And therefore, these things have to be brought to the public, and the public must also vent its feelings. People have to speak out on issues that concern them, because if you don't, then you give the government a blank check and they believe that they can do and say anything they want. And that's why the whole issue of this family life bill that is coming before us is like some of the things that in there. It can't be somebody who's serious about political success will come up with these things, because I don't believe you'll get votes from these things. You can only lose votes because by having a minister tells the family exactly what to allow his child at 12 and 16 years to do. It seems absolutely crazy. I don't know whose idea could that be. And none of the guys who are talking and dealing with this, they grew up under their own family with that liberal approach. And we all are glad that our parents didn't give us this absolute freedom that all of us want as young boys and girls, and so on. So I don't know what's happened, but it's clear that we have to just expose these people for the foolishness that they do going forward.
Doc, I'm listening to all your stories, and I'm a bit amazed because you've been in politics for a very, very long time. What does politics itself mean to you personally?
Well,
I mean, it's different now.
Well, no, I think politics is give you an opportunity to understand what your country needs and deserve, and what the people of your country aspire to. I think that you can say in a general sense, that's what politics give you an opportunity. So in dealing with that, you would have to understand what are the main issues that would gain the interest of the people of the country at this time. What are the things negatively affecting the country, and how should you attempt to solve it? And what are the positive things that the people are very happy with, which you should even expand further on? So that these are all things that should excite one. If you are serious about political success and interest, you should be understanding those variables as you be involved. So my involvement over the years, and let's face it, I think to be successful in me as a politician, I think one fundamental thing you must have is empathy and love for people. If you don't like people, I don't think you should go around anything dealing with politics. Some people go into politics because of what they perceive, the material benefits that they can get to satisfy their ego, to become ministers and prime ministers and so on. And I think this is a fundamentally false basis upon which you should be involved in political life. And anytime you do that, you will fail. And there's no strange thing that I've been in this as representative of my constituency for over 41, going 42 years. And to do that, you have to really understand and be involved with your people on a regular basis. Because when I started in my political life, I would got only 60% of the votes. And since then, the lowest one after that was 1990, where I got 70%, and the last election, 80%. So I think one has to understand people, and one has to have a feel, and you can't fake it, because you will be exposed. I don't care how good you think you are. You could give the greatest speech, people will listen to you, and you'll excite them initially, but they will find you out, and you will be exposed accordingly. So I'm proud of the fact that I've been there in this business, and proud of the fact that I'm happy to see so many young people like yourself and others who are interested in taking this mantle and the torch and go forward with it, because I think the continuity of proper services in the country and healthy political actions in the country is so important to ensure that future generations have the kinds of successes and opportunities that they deserve to have. And we have to lay that foundation as we go forward.
Well, thank you for that, Doc, and thank you so much again for your service. It's back to school season. What would you like to say to our children that has head back into the classroom today?
Well, education, as you know, is the fundamental basis of one's success, one way or the other in life. So I always treasure the fact that we have to provide the best possible education for all our children, not just a certain sector of the society, all and sundry. And I would just say to young people that you take your schoolwork seriously, and be respectful and supportive of your teachers and those who want to help you to succeed and to gain the appropriate knowledge going forward in your life. And also your parents. Always remember they are your guardians, and they will provide the necessary, because they're the ones who are responsible for your growth and development. And certainly these are the messages I would like to give to the young people. Make maximum effort of the time spent in school and the work that you're given, and ensure always that you try and be as successful as possible in your academic pursuit.
Thank you so much for your time, Doc. That is all the time we have for today, folks. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Show them